quick recap of the special report. Now, the special report was kind of hilarious, but also interesting. Wasn't too much being stated, other than they just clarified certain reasonings, which then went against their dev notes. However, Year 5, Season 3, Vanguard. And it's all about Kelso. Yeah, who saw that one coming? Right. First of all, pretty much everything they stated within the PTS2 patch notes, as well as the dev notes afterwards, is coming into effect. So there's not really a lot to go over. There's already a plethora of content on the Year 5 Season 3 PTS2 patch notes, as well as there's a lot of videos out there on the people's thoughts and feelings and blah-de-blah-de-blah about the absolutely comedy dev notes that happened afterwards. So we're going to really kind of not touch on that. What we are going to touch on is a few things that have been announced either through the next series of patch notes, which there should be a link in the description below for if you haven't seen them, as well as other things that they stated in the special report that maybe people didn't realize or had missed. Like, for example, and something I'm personally rather excited about, is the textiles vendor. As someone who is approaching 14k SHD and has so many textiles and a rather large collection of caches, having somewhere to spend these textiles is actually going to be pretty damn nice. Now, one thing they did state was that it is only going to be limited. From what they showed in the special report, there was 1 exotic cache, 3 named, and 2 optimizations. This will rotate weekly, a lot like Cassie. You also need to find him, a lot like Cassie. Now, the one thing we don't know is whether this vendor is going to be account-wide, so that once you buy all the stuff on one character, does that count for all? Or can I do it 4 times once on each of my characters? That's the one thing that wasn't stated. We also seem to be getting some, let's call it interesting looking apparel coming. There's this weird Japanese themed one which I just showed, as well as there's one that got a lot of people excited, which is the dude on the left with the ghillie suit. A few other bits and pieces. A lot of people were very confused by the excess amount of bullets on a few of them. One dude even had a legit friggin' tail. The functionality of Behind You has been confirmed, as well as the fact that it just doesn't work in PvP. Apparently it never has, so despite all these people telling me that it works in PvP, no. Sorry. Something I am personally excited for is their correction of the wording on a lot of talents. Like sadist and everything else is now stated as amplified. However, they certainly missed a few. Sorry, Vindicator. We know what you're worth, but apparently the devs don't. As well as Intimidate. I'm not sure how they got Intimidate mixed up, to be perfectly honest. One that's received quite a bit of mixed reception is going to be the leaderboard wipe, including Kentley, Raid, Strongholds, Clan, Standard Solo, Standard Group, Invaded Solo, and Invaded Group. Now, the reason this has been quite received strangely is quite simply on PC, where I am, a lot of the leaderboards are scuffed due to cheats, hackers, glitches, etc, etc. So getting a wipe here for PC wouldn't be too bad, but then those same players can just cheat their way to the top again. Not a problem. Second one being, although this is also possible on console, it is actually a lot more difficult. That being said, there are people who have records on that leaderboard that they would kind of like to keep. Although it would be a hell of a lot of work, and I do mean a lot of work, I kind of feel like if you're able to prove your time through like a video or something, at least prove it, you should be able to keep your time on the leaderboard. However, the downside to this would be an awful lot of work for the devs, because they would have to go through every single person on the leaderboard and remove essentially anyone that doesn't have proof, as well as watch a whole load of footage of people doing it. I feel like that would be the best way to go about it, but at the same time, that's also completely and utterly unfeasible. They also clarified a few points on the skill mod changes, such as picking up a superior mod will automatically replace the inferior one. Continuous pickups will immediately be deconstructed, as well as give you the appropriate amount of printer filaments. One thing that was asked, which I know a lot of people did ask about, is how do we now share skill mods? Well, the simple answer is we're also getting the return of the bin men. I mean, the Last Resort Apparel event, in case you missed it. If you did, I actually envy you. And they've also leaned ever so slightly more heavily into the cosmetic side for the season pass. Now, the last thing to go over is the clarification of when things are being introduced. We are getting both Vanguard Season 3 as well as Project Resolve in the same update. However, there are going to be a few things that are going to be coming out in 20.1. The most notable of these is Gearlock. Gearlock for Season 3 is removed completely, everywhere. However, in 20.1, Gearlock is returning, but in conflict only. So if you are a conflict player and you like swapping builds, don't get used to it, because, yeah, sadly. Anyway, that's going to do it for this quick recap. I've tried to focus on things that haven't really been announced because everything else is basically staying the same. As I stated, there will be the full list of patch notes in the description. However, in the meantime, have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.